Welcome to Coppell Blue. This month, we're going to introduce you to our new Deputy Chief, Chris Allball. We'll check in with our detectives in our detective forum. They're going to tell us about some of the recent crime trends that have been happening in Coppell. And we'll also check in with Traffic Officer David Galesthorpe. He's going to tell us about some of the new traffic laws that went into effect September 1st. But first, the Red Ribbon Breakfast was held Monday, October 21st at the Embassy Suites in Grapevine, Texas. The Red Ribbon Breakfast is the kickoff to Red Ribbon Week, which is October 23rd to the 31st. The guest speaker was Melissa Howard. She's our two-time Olympic medal winner. She had an inspiring story about her Olympic journey. Take a look.
This is our 24th year as a sponsor for the Red Ribbon Breakfast. This has occurred because of an unfortunate incident back in 1985 where a DEA agent was kidnapped in Guadalajara, Mexico. He was working a big case on the cartels, and they found out he knew a lot about their organization. So they masterminded a plan to kidnap him, and they did so as he went to go meet his wife for lunch. They took him away for about 3 or 4 days, they tortured him, and they finally murdered him. And to this day, we celebrate his life, and of course mourn his untimely death. But this is what Red Ribbon's all about.
I've been associated with the Red Ribbon Breakfast for 24 years. This is quite a unique experience. First, it started out just a couple of school districts working on this, and then we incorporated the Chambers of Commerce to come in and to host each year. So we rotate from one chamber to the other. This year, the Coppell Chamber, next year, Farmers Branch, the next year, Metro Crest's Chamber of Commerce. But really, the inspiring spark plug of making this really successful has been the police departments and the Drug Enforcement Administration. And so way back there, around 20-something years ago, a man by the name of Lunt, who was a drug enforcement agent, he offered to help us. And from that time on, we've had all of Kiki Camarina's family. Of course, the Red Ribbon campaign was started because of his assassination, and his parents decided his death would not be in vain. So it started out just a very small effort, but now it's nationwide. And we are part of the cooperation to make the Red Ribbon Week a success in our schools. I hope today, this 24th annual Red Ribbon Kickoff Breakfast, I hope it has become a victory rally for these students in particular, that they will not lose this fight against drugs.
I'm Bennett Ratliff. I'm State Representative for Northwest Dallas County, and it's my job to welcome y'all here this morning and thank y'all for coming out for the 24th year of the Red Ribbon Breakfast.
Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
It's my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker this morning. Melissa Morrison Howard became the first 100-meter hurdler to win the Olympic medals in back-to-back Olympic Games after winning her second bronze medal in Athens, Greece in 2004. She's a 4-time U.S. champion in the 100-meter hurdles and was consistently ranked in the top 5 in the world from 1997 to 2005. I would like to introduce our speaker to you, Melissa Morrison Howard.
So I ask you guys, what are your positives? If you are ever in a situation where someone is making empty promises to you for whatever reason it is, and it questions who you are or it questions your integrity, here's what I want you to do. I want you to reach back to that one single success that you've had, no matter what it is. What did you do? How did you feel to get there? I want you to find it, and I want you to live it out. It's a message about drugs, staying drug-free. And I think with my Olympic journey, I think it was most appropriate for me to come here and talk to the kids to let them know that no matter what type of obstacles you go through, then you can certainly make it through it. So just for me to be able to share my story of some of the things that I've gone through, I definitely hope that was an inspiration to some of those kids.
I think it's important that the city of Coppell take the forefront and make sure that we reinforce this message to our kids year after year. As our kids go through the school system, it's great for them to take that message back and tell their peers so that hopefully it will stick and they will remember it for years and years to come.
Why I think that the story behind Red Ribbon Week is important is because it gives kind of a face to the cause, and it gives us like a tangible reason why we should stay drug-free.
The Red Ribbon Breakfast is important to the Coppell Police Department because it's our opportunity to present a positive front. We're able to show forth that we support young people who are doing their best to stay away from drugs, to make positive choices throughout their educational careers, and to make positive choices that will lead to hopefully a very productive and good fulfilling career and fulfilling life. And so we're completely behind this Red Ribbon Breakfast to support those students who are making good choices.
Well, we attended the Red Ribbon Week breakfast today because we're all leaders in our school and we have been elected to certain positions. So it's important for the student body to know that us as leaders believe that it's important to stay drug-free.
So since this week is Red Ribbon Week, New Tech is promoting that and just the whole idea of drug-free and drug intolerance. Now that we went to this Red Ribbon Week breakfast, we're able to kind of kick it off and have a good vibe and good positive attitude about it throughout the whole week, that we can kind of set in stone this whole idea of Red Ribbon Week and what we stand for about that.
I would wear my red ribbon bracelet and then dress up and then like kind of take the message and strive to be like the best person so that I can be like a leader and show that I'm drug-free and hopefully inspire others to be drug-free as well.
I will take this message back to my school, New Tech, by wearing my red ribbon bracelet that I received and also spraying red ribbon bracelets around to everyone at our school to let everybody know that we are drug-free and that we like to set a good example.
This week we have actually set up a thing so that we are going to pass out red ribbons to all of our learners at New Tech. And on Wednesday, we're all going to encourage everybody to sign a pledge to stay drug-free. So I'm very excited about how that will impact our learners.
We also want to spread some positive peer pressure to our friends and family. So that's why it was good for us to come here today.
Well, from when I was speaking, a lot of what I went through was the peer pressure. And if I had the low self-esteem, I probably would have chosen to go with the group that I was talking about, with them having found out to have taken performance-enhancing drugs. I think that, but if you surround yourself with those positive influences, I think that those are the people, they say birds of a feather flock together. So I think if you just surround yourself with those positive people and just have those people that are always whispering nothing but positives in your ear, I think you can overcome just about anything.
The Coppell Police Department is involved through numerous activities that we have scheduled throughout the course of this week. Of course, we have school resource officers who are assigned to each of the middle schools, and then they also help serve the elementary schools, and 2 who are assigned to the high schools themselves. But then also members of our traffic unit, members of our patrol officers will also be involved in various activities. We have basketball game, we have all kinds of presentations that we do in the various schools. And through these presentations, we hope to be able to draw attention to the problem of drugs in our community and hopefully be able to get to some of these young people before some of the drug dealers do, with the message that this is not a good course of life to choose, that they want to make sure they choose more wisely and carefully, prudently, and that they have a better life than what drugs can offer. In addition to prevention, we also hope to be able to take enforcement activity, to be able to track down people who are using illegal drugs, and more importantly, be able to track down those people who are dealing illegal drugs. Our goal here is not to try to hammer people. Obviously, our goal is to try to keep as many drugs off the street as possible, to try to make for a safer community, and try to give our young people a better opportunity. So if someone is trying to use or deal illegal drugs, be aware that the Coppell Police Department will be out in full force and we will be looking for them.
It makes us take the time to focus. There's so many other things going on in our world that if Red Ribbon Week is one of those times that we specifically focus on the drug awareness and making sure that we get that message out.
I've recently taken a new position here at New Tech High School as the school resource officer, so this will be my full-time job. So I'm passing off my hosting duties of Coppell Blue to Officer Peter Dirks. He's going to introduce himself and our new Deputy Chief, Chris Allball. Peter?
Thanks, RJ. I know your fans will surely miss you. I'm excited to be the new host of Coppell Blue. I've been working with the Coppell Police Department for 9 years, most of it on patrol. I'm also involved in our Honor Guard and our Police Bicycle Unit. My new position as Crime Prevention Officer, I organize our community programs and, of course, am the host of this show. Now we're going to talk with our new Deputy Chief, Chris Allball. His first couple duties have been to participate in National Night Out and the Red Ribbon Breakfast.
Well, I started my police career as a reserve officer in Kaufman, the city of Kaufman, in 1986. Donating time on the weekends because I thought law enforcement's what I wanted to do. Then I spent a couple of years in the city of Seagoville as a reserve officer and pretty much confirmed that's what I wanted to do. But I wanted to have a lot more activity than those small towns had at the time. I was younger, and so I started in the Dallas Police Department in 1990. And worked there for 22 years. Along the way, I served in patrol. I rode a bicycle on patrol for 4 years. It was probably the most fun I had in the Dallas Police Department. Not only get to stay in shape every day, but get close to the people, visit with community. They'll come to you and tell you things more. They'll share intelligence with you. They'll also just share concerns, and you can make them feel better even if you can't change it. Kids will walk up and want to talk about it, so it builds rapport with the kids and the police. But at the same time, you can sneak up on the bad guys. You can see over fences, you can ride up in the breezeways. Then I moved on to be a field training officer for a short time, then went in to be a detective. And I worked in homicide most of that time, but I also worked in the robbery division and in sex crimes and in assaults. Then when I promoted to a supervisor, I went out and served in the Northeast Division and then in the Central Division, and the entertainment districts was mainly what I ended up doing as a supervisor in Central, because you have all those big entertainment districts down there, learned how to control all that traffic and all those mobs of people. Then I spent some time as the field training coordinator for the Central Division. Not only that, but coordinating fleet and resources and in-service training and building maintenance and things like that. So got a wide range of experience in a short period of time there. And promoted to lieutenant, which I spent almost 9 years as a lieutenant. Served in patrol division, in the jail detention services, in the communications division, in the office of the chief, and then when I left, I spent my last year in crimes against persons over the homicide, robbery, sex crimes, assault, family violence units. Along the way, working in the office of the chief, I had the opportunity, and really it gained a lot of good experience that opened my eyes to the way organizations work as a whole and with their regional partners. Helping to coordinate the planning for the NBA games in 2010 and the Super Bowl in 2011. That was not only rewarding, but I built a lot of friendships, built a lot of cooperative relationships with other agencies, met a lot of chiefs of big agencies in the area, and started to learn some of the skills that it would take. And in fact, some of those relationships, some of the people I met had encouraged me to then look outside, to work outside the Dallas Police Department. Upon taking that advice, I applied here about 2 years ago, and didn't get the job at that time. But what I learned about this organization at that time, I fell in love with. And my wife could tell you we'd drive by here to go and eat and go shopping here, and just say, hey, one day, we may move to this area and maybe someday work here. Along the way, though, I continued to look outside and went to work for the Kaufman Police Department as Chief of Police in July of 2012. So I retired from Dallas after 22 years and went to work as the chief in Kaufman and spent a year there. During that time, it was obvious there was a very tragic events that happened there, but during all of that community was already very close to the police department, very close to each other. They embraced me when I came, and when we went through that together, we even bonded more. The community really bonded, the agency, all the different partner agencies that helped with that. And you know, through an unfortunate series of events, some very good things came about. The cases were solved, many good relationships were built. And then I learned that the Coppell Police Department was looking for a deputy chief. Leaving Kaufman at that time was the right time. They were in good shape, headed the right direction, no major issues going on, and it was difficult to leave. But it was not what I was leaving, it was where I was going. And Coppell is closer to family. It's a size that's more suitable to me. And like I said, 2 years ago, I fell in love with the people, the place, and everything about it. And it was just a perfect fit for me. It was a natural place to be, and someplace I plan on being for some time to come. When I started in the Dallas Police Department, community policing was starting to become a big catchphrase. But what people didn't really realize was that policing started as a community effort in the first place. And I was fortunate enough to be a member of the bicycle patrol squad, where it was just natural to blend with the community and to partner with the community to solve problems. So when I started working my way up the ranks, and especially when I became chief, to me the philosophy of community policing is not a program, it's not a label, it's not a set of officers, it's part of our DNA from the very beginning of policing. And so what we have to help the officers and the community to understand is that, you know, this was designed, the whole idea, for us to partner and work together, and that's the way that we solve problems more effectively and in ways that can be carried on and have longevity, because we have buy-in from the community and from the officers themselves. And National Night Out has been one of those things that helps foster more of that. I really love National Night Out because I get to go meet the community. It's in the context of community policing and meeting each other and fighting crime together. And so more of the community's there all at one time, and they get to see us in the positive light at that time, instead of when we've stopped them to write them a ticket or had to go and take care of a problem they have. So that's, to me, a very important part of the year and an exciting part of the year. But I also try to continue that all throughout the year. Going out, and every chance I get, I go out to one of the shops and visit with shop owners, go in and say hi and introduce myself. Go to the schools when I have an opportunity and visit with them and just let them know who I am and find out who they are. I'll even sometimes driving down the streets and somebody out, you know, working in their garden with the flowers, and just stop by and say hi to them, and they'd be surprised how, you know, at first they're like, well, what's he doing here? And then they're like, oh, that was nice. And to me, that's the way all of the officers ought to be. You know, every officer ought to know their community, and when they don't have anything pressing going on, be visiting with them and talking to them, because someday when there is something they want to tell them that they need to know, the community will be more apt to approach us and talk to us about that. So National Night Out is a time we focus on it, but we do it all year long. And that carries over into the department too. I could sit behind my desk and I could bark out orders and I could work on stats and crunch numbers, but the bigger important part of my job is get out in the hallway and talk to officers, find out what's going on with them, share what they're dealing with on the street, share their dreams too, find out what motivates them, but also share the vision of where we're going as a department and as an agency. I try to get out and ride with the officers, see what it's like working out there. My time is split between all these things, but I really enjoy those times when I can get out there and get to know the officers. So these are all important things for developing people and building relationships, because that's what our job's all about. In my career, I've met officers who are reluctant to wear the little red ribbon that we get on the Red Ribbon Week. They thought it was silly, that it was an addition to their uniform that wasn't important. For me and for all the officers here, I think it's important that we set the example. The red ribbon is not the important part. The important part is that we're speaking out against drugs, against using drugs, that you can live a full and happy, exciting life without drugs. And this year we've added no bullying. You know, the bullying has become a big issue these days with kids in schools. And you know, when you get bullied, as some of us may have been when we were younger, you know that doesn't make you feel very good. And kids shouldn't have to go through that. So we as officers and we as community leaders, as examples to the rest, as role models, we make the statement. And during that week we wear that red ribbon and we say, we're not going to tolerate the use of drugs, we're not going to tolerate bullying either. And the Red Ribbon Breakfast was, I was very excited to be a part of that. Besides being fed anytime there's food, I love being there. But the speaker, the young lady, Melissa Howard, who was a two-time back-to-back bronze medal winner for hurdles, and that's pretty amazing, the only person to have ever done that, tells the story of her entire young life of progressing up to the point of being a champion, of challenges that she had of being offered drugs or enhancing things to make her career better and to get rid of pain and various other things, and how she overcame that and decided not to do that. And she tells the story of how other individuals that were parts of those teams ended up in trouble, some of them in prison. But yet she went on to be a champion, and although she only won a bronze, she celebrated it as much as the gold medal winner, because to her, she did it. She worked hard and did it with hard work and didn't have to have drugs or use drugs to get there, and probably wouldn't have made it there if she did anyway. And so that was an excellent example to the kids. Many times you'll see examples coming from someone who's hit rock bottom, gone to the street using drugs, and then come back through rehab and done okay. But this is kind of one of those examples that maybe some other kids can relate to, that's not quite as hardcore. Although those hardcore drug issues are important, and we need to also teach kids against those. This was one that I'm sure quite a few kids, especially athletes, couldn't relate to. And with the latest things with the pro sports heroes out there that are being caught using performance-enhancing drugs, this is a perfect time for that sort of an example. And it ties into both of the types of abuse of drugs. So the Red Ribbon Week is a very important thing to allow leaders and role models to show kids that we stand up behind them, and we want them to take the stand, we want to encourage them to take that stand, and we'll back them if they do.
Okay, on October 30th, we had 10 burglaries of vehicles overnight. Again, these were over at night. They took a lot small electronics, iPads, cash from people's vehicles, and every one of these vehicles was an unsecured, unlocked vehicle. They were all targets of opportunity. Back in June and July, we had another rash of 19 burglaries of vehicles. Again, every vehicle unlocked, every vehicle unsecured, sitting in the driveway at night. This is occurring while people are sleeping, and they're leaving valuable electronics. Some of it's theirs, some of it, in a couple instances, are Coppell Independent School District issued iPads and electronics. Again, stolen from vehicles which are unsecured, unlocked, parked in driveways at night. Reactively, as the police department, we investigate all of them. In June and July, we made an arrest for a majority of those offenses and charged a suspect. The ones from the 10th, again, following up on leads, we do have pictures, images, and video of the suspect, which we will be following up on to try and make an arrest. What we're asking is for the citizens to proactively lock their doors in their cars, make sure that all their security lights are working, park vehicles in garages when possible, remove all electronics if you're not going to be in the vehicle or within sight of your vehicle, and again, just help us in curbing the crime, deterring it, and preventing it.
New laws were passed September 1st. If you follow us on Facebook, every Tuesday we post a tip. We call it Traffic Tip Tuesday. We happened to run into Traffic Officer David Gelsthorpe, and he expanded on these tips.
In the event you're involved in an accident, we're asking all involved drivers to immediately stop their vehicles in a safe place, determine if there's any injuries. If there are any injuries, to contact 911 so that we can get an ambulance and paramedics en route to your location. If the vehicles are drivable, then we're asking you to pull off the roadway into a parking lot or on the shoulder if possible to get out of the main lanes of traffic. The reason for that is to keep traffic flowing through the city and to create a safe environment for cars to drive through, pass through, and to cut down on the congestion that's caused by accidents. Once drivers are in a safe location, state law requires that you exchange information with the other drivers, including name, address, phone number, and insurance information. With today's technology and smartphones, the easiest thing to do is to take pictures of each other's driver license and insurance card, and then you can just email those pictures along with pictures of the damage to your respective insurance agents. Fault is not determined necessarily by us. or by the parties involved. Insurance companies in Texas determine who's at fault and at what ratio, and the insurance companies work out the damages and the cost to repair those damages. With the current construction here in Coppell, namely on Sandy Lake Road, and of course the added congestion with the start of the school year, many motorists have started to utilize adjacent parking lots to avoid intersections and avoid traffic congestion. State law expressly prohibits the use of parking lots and private property to avoid intersections or to avoid traffic congestion. Those parking lots are private property. Those parking lots are paid for by private money from the businesses and the tenants in those businesses, and those are to be used by the patrons only. In addition to that, it's just unsafe for the people that are trying to utilize those businesses, and so we are out there and actively enforcing people cutting through parking lots and cutting through private property to avoid the construction, the congestion, and those intersections that are backed up during rush hour times. Contrary to popular belief, it is not illegal to drive without shoes. You can drive barefoot. It may create a safety hazard, but otherwise there is no state law that expressly forbids driving without shoes. To change lanes, the state law expressly forbids changing lanes within 100 feet of an intersection, bridge, viaduct, tunnel, or railroad crossing. Typically you'll find solid white lines painted as you enter into an intersection or railroad crossing, tunnel, bridge, viaduct. And so crossing a solid white line is illegal. State law expressly forbids crossing a solid white line or a solid yellow line or double yellow line. And so crossing a yellow line or a white line as you approach an intersection or any of the other examples that I provided is a violation of state law. As you approach an intersection that is controlled by a traffic control device, albeit a traffic signal or a stop sign, you are required to stop at the designated stop line or at the crosswalk. If neither one of those is present, then you're required to stop at the official traffic control device at the stop sign. And so you're required to stop at that point. Then you are allowed to proceed into the intersection unless it is unsafe to do so by either a pedestrian crossing the roadway or by traffic that does have the right of way. It is illegal to pass a school bus that is loading or unloading and the red light's flashing. State law does allow for you, if you're traveling in the opposite direction, as long as there is a physical barrier, a raised median, that you are allowed to pass a school bus while it is loading or unloading in the opposite direction, as long as, again, there's that physical barrier that separates you and the school bus. If not, you are required to stop behind the bus and on the approach of the bus in the opposite direction. The school buses, at least with Dallas County schools, are now equipped with cameras, and those cameras are recording, and licensed peace officers are sending out notices and violations for people that are passing school buses loading or unloading.
I hope those tips were helpful. And remember, you can find them if you like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter. We want to thank RJ for the wonderful 10 years of this show, and we will surely miss him. Well, that's our show for this month. Until next time, be safe.